Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Mimi, and for today's tutorial, I will be making a super easy peekaboo fall leaves tumbler. I love how clean and simple this design is, and my inspiration came from Vanessa at VMD Designs. I'll make sure to link her channel down below so you can go check her out. As always, everything I use will be listed and linked down below, along with some exclusive discount codes that'll help you save some money when picking up your supplies. With all that being said, let's get started. I'll be using a bunch of colors from BJ's for my peekaboo. I'm using Figalicious, Razzle Dazzle, Lollipop Sparkle, Ruby Slipper, Brazilian Coffee, Sea Swell, Caribbean, and Paradise. I'm starting with a fully sanded and painted 24-ounce tumbler. I'll be adding my glitter using the epoxy method and while it's on my turner. As you'll see, I'm using a tiny spoon to add each color sporadically around the cup. There's really no rhyme or reason to where I'm placing each color, so I'm just adding enough of each color to get full coverage and to cover all the white with the glitter. This was my first time adding glitter this way, and I'm honestly not the biggest fan of this method. Next time, I think I'd much rather use my fingers to sprinkle each color onto the tumbler while holding it like I normally do. Neither method is right or wrong, so whichever way you prefer, go ahead and add your glitter that way. As you can see, I have sped up this section quite a bit because this did take quite a bit of time. I'll let you continue watching the process, and I'll be back when we're ready to move on to the next step. Once your entire tumbler is covered with glitter, let it spin until it dries. Mine only took about 2 hours because I used a quick setting epoxy. Once it was dry, I applied a coat of epoxy to seal the glitter in. I used about 25 ml for this cup. Let that coat cure, and then we'll go on to the sanding to get our cup ready to apply our leaves for our peekaboo. I'm using my favorite sticky back sandpaper that I get off of Amazon. I use the 220 grit, but it does come in other grits. A link to this will be down in the description box below. I paid special attention to the top and bottom rims. You want to expose a thin line of stainless steel around the top rim to establish a good seal for our final coats of epoxy. The body of this tumbler was pretty smooth because we only used fine cut glitters, but I did get some uneven epoxy that pooled on the bottom. As you'll see, I'm aggressively sanding the bottom so that the cup would sit level and not topple over, which would not be good. I'm also using a light hand, but working aggressively, and I hope that makes sense because we only have one layer of epoxy covering the glitter, and I don't want to sand down too far and damage the glitter that's underneath. If you're finding that you're doing way too much sanding and it's really uneven, I would go ahead and stop the sanding and then add another layer of epoxy, let that fully cure, and then try the sanding again. I'll also go in with a sharp craft knife and take care of the top rim to get rid of any of the epoxy that might have overflowed. Once your sanding is all finished, go ahead and wash the entire cup with dish soap and dry it off with some paper towels. Because I'll be spray painting, I decided to add another thin coat of epoxy, which is about 20 mLs, before I moved on to the peekaboo portion. The leaves I'm using were purchased from Vanessa at VMD Designs, and she has a store on Etsy, which I will go ahead and link below. I used my Cameo 4 to cut out the leaves from stencil vinyl. Stencil vinyl is my most favorite to use for any peekaboos. I'm just kind of laying out all my designs on my table to see where I want to place them. I know it's going to be somewhat difficult to see on video, but I'm just placing my leaves over the sections of the glitter that I want peeking out after spray painting. I don't remember exactly how many leaves I cut out and used, but I did vary the sizes. Vanessa's file does come with the outline, which is super helpful to make the leaves pop. Now that all my leaves are on my cup, I'll make sure that the vinyl is completely stuck down, especially along the edges, so that no paint bleeds under the stencil. I then took it outside and sprayed the entire tumbler with an even coat of Bone White by Montana Colors. I let that completely dry, and now I'm ready to remove my stencils. Make sure to take your time when removing the vinyl and try your best not to scratch up the paint. When all the vinyl has been removed, I added a coat of epoxy to seal the paint before adding my vinyl outlines. You can also decide to add a quote or a name to personalize your tumbler, but I decided to just let the peekaboo design speak for itself. For my leaf outlines, I used a gold textured vinyl from Cricut, and I also cut out some smaller leaves that I found on Google as fillers. I just matched up the outlines to the peekaboo leaves, then placed my solid leaves where I thought it would tie into the design. After placing all my vinyl on my cup, I'm going to go ahead and seal with a coat of Quick Coat from CC DIY so that I don't get any lifting while I'm adding my final coats of epoxy. After letting the quick coat dry, I finished my tumbler with 2 final coats of epoxy. And when those were cured, we're all done. I hope you love this tumbler as much as I do and give this design a try. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't done so already, I'd love it if you'd subscribe to my channel. Make sure to ring the bell notification to be notified each week when I upload a new video. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, bye!